Introduction: the silent language of unfaithfulness. Focus: setting the tone. Stoic observation: focusing on words over actions. Most men are conditioned to look for the obvious signs of infidelity: the lipstick, the late nights, the suspicious texts. But the deepest betrayals often begin not with an action, but with a word. The most significant giveaways are subtle linguistic shifts that leak the guilt and distance a person is desperately trying to conceal. Psychology has long affirmed that language is a direct window into our emotional state. When a partner is hiding something monumental, like infidelity, their mouth inadvertently betrays what their heart and body are struggling to cover. They employ specific defense mechanisms, phrases designed to manipulate your perception and silence your intuition. Today, we move beyond the superficial clues. We will adopt the mindset of a Stoic observer, calm, analytical, and focused on truth above emotion. We will expose the 5 most common phrases an unfaithful woman uses, breaking down the psychological warfare behind each one, so you can see through every excuse and every deflection. Magnifying glass tilted right. Point 1. I just need some space right now. Psychological concept: avoidance, justification, and emotional withdrawal. Deep dive. A healthy, faithful relationship thrives on intimacy and mutual connection. When life is stressful, a loyal partner naturally leans in for reassurance and closeness. The sudden, unexplained demand for space, however, is often a calculated withdrawal. The deception: on the surface, it sounds mature, a request for mental clarity or time to handle stress. The psychological reality: psychologists identify this as avoidance justification. The physical space she is asking for is a proxy for the emotional distance she has already created. She pulls away from you because she is already filling that relational gap, the craving for validation, connection, and attention, with someone else. The request for space is her acceptable social script for seeking a clandestine opportunity. The Stoic response: a Stoic does not react with panic or neediness. He observes the pattern. Does this need for space coincide with guarding her phone, or with unexplained periods of absence? Does she return refreshed and closer, or colder and more detached? If the space is used to make room for another connection, the pattern will expose the lie. A faithful partner integrates you into her life. An unfaithful one segments it. Magnifying glass tilted right. Point 2. You're just overthinking things. Psychological concept: gaslighting and deflection. Deep dive. Your intuition, that subtle, ancient survival mechanism, is rarely wrong. When your instincts flag a sudden change in her behavior, delayed replies, defensiveness, secretive phone habits, you call it out. Her immediate counter is the dismissal: you're just overthinking things. The deception: she attempts to portray herself as the rational, grounded party and you as the emotionally volatile or paranoid one. The psychological reality: this is the core of gaslighting and a classic deflection response. Her goal is not to address your concern, but to destabilize your sense of reality. By attacking the validity of your feelings and judgment, she shifts the focus from her suspicious actions to your supposed flaw. She knows that if she can convince you that your intuition is unreliable, you will stop seeking the truth. Clarity and reassurance are the weapons of a faithful partner. Ambiguity and accusation are the weapons of one hiding guilt. The Stoic response: the Stoic acknowledges the phrase without accepting its premise. He understands it as a tactical attempt to silence him. He does not engage in a futile argument. Instead, he simply registers the observation: why does she need to dismiss my concern rather than simply clarify the situation? Trust your intuition, for it is often the first thing the guilty try to destroy. Why don't you trust me? Psychological concept: guilt reversal and playing the victim. Deep dive. When her actions have created an undeniable cloud of suspicion, this phrase is deployed like a dagger. It flips the shame and accountability back onto you. The deception: she implies that trust is the sacred foundation you are violating, making your doubt the true offense. The psychological reality. This is guilt reversal. She bypasses accountability for the behavior that eroded trust, the late nights, the lies, the secrecy, and instead makes the lack of trust the central problem. Suddenly, you are defending her character, trying to prove you are not insecure, rather than her proving she is faithful. She plays the victim of your insecurity to escape the burden of her own betrayal. A faithful partner understands that trust is earned daily through consistent, transparent behavior. It is not a blind obligation. The Stoic response. The Stoic sees the manipulation clearly. Trust is not a demand. It is a consequence of integrity. When a partner uses the word trust as a shield against accountability, something is fundamentally broken. A person who is truly trustworthy will provide evidence and clarity calmly. They will not weaponize the relationship's foundation against their partner. Magnifying glass tilted right. Point 4. He's just a friend. Psychological concept. Relationship minimization and boundary erosion. Deep dive. In a secure relationship, friendships are transparent and integrated. When a male friendship becomes a source of defensiveness, secrecy, or sudden change in your partner's habits, this phrase becomes her immediate, forceful defense. The deception. She minimizes the third party, suggesting the connection is harmless and platonic. The psychological reality. This is relationship minimization. She is cognitively shrinking the emotional or physical weight of that connection into a dismissive label, just a friend. She insists on the label because the reality is far more significant and carries a charge she knows would cross a boundary. The insistence itself is the proof of the problem. If the connection were truly harmless, she would not need to repeatedly defend its innocence. Furthermore, the relationship often breaches the emotional boundary before it breaches the physical one. The friend becomes the primary source of emotional validation, complaint, and intimate conversation. The Stoic response. The Stoic focuses on the behavior surrounding the statement. Does she guard her phone around this friend? Does she delete message history? Does she alter her dress or routine before seeing him? If the friendship requires secrecy, defensiveness, and minimization, it is not just a friend. It is an emotional or physical secret being hidden behind a convenient word. Magnifying glass tilted right. Point 5. You're being too insecure. Psychological concept. Projection defense and blame shifting. Deep dive. This is the ultimate blame shift, a sharp and dismissive phrase designed to make you question your worth and your masculinity. The deception. She makes you feel that your emotional state is the source of all the relationship's problems, shifting the blame entirely away from her actions. The psychological reality. This is projection defense. A guilty partner is dealing with massive internal shame and conflict. The easiest way to cope is to project that feeling, to externalize the source of the discomfort onto the partner. By labeling you as insecure, she creates a powerful smokescreen. If you believe you are the problem, you will stop looking at her actions. Furthermore, she is using your natural reaction to her untrustworthy behavior as evidence of your personal failure. The Stoic response. The Stoic knows the critical difference between insecurity and intuition. Insecurity is a fear without evidence. Intuition is a rational recognition that patterns of behavior are consistently clashing with the foundational contract of trust. The woman who insists you are insecure is, paradoxically, the one actively manufacturing the very conditions necessary for insecurity to flourish. She is confessing, without realizing it, I am giving you every reason not to trust me. Concluding act. The power of Stoic observation. Focus. Final message. Empowerment through self-control and clarity. The path of a Stoic man is not one of emotional chaos, but of clear-eyed realism. You do not need to beg, argue, or plead for explanations. You need only to observe the words and the patterns. Infidelity is revealed less by big, dramatic clues and more by the necessity of the betrayer to constantly manipulate language to shield her secrets. When you hear these phrases, do not react with anger. react with clarity. The truth is always revealed through the alignment, or lack thereof, between a person's words and their actions. When those two things diverge, the words become the most potent and consistent indicator of a secret being kept. By mastering the psychology of these defensive phrases, you ensure that her secrets will never stay secret again.